Chuck Rocha disagrees. So, Jesse Jen, explain why you don't think this panned out.
This is such an absurd argument by the president. He made the same arguments over sequestration, and the economy actually grew 2.5 points, which was the highest it had grown in a year prior to sequestration.
Well, but to be fair, I mean, that's not gangbusters growth. I mean, it's typical of what we've been seeing,
exactly,
but it wasn't
it's
gangbusters. Right?
Exactly, but it actually grew more than it had in over a year. He has only gained any progress over 3% 5 times in the last 18 quarters of being reported in his presidency. So the problem isn't this shutdown or sequestration. It's his policies, the tax increases, and Obamacare. Government spending does not increase the economy, and that is evident by this entire administration in the last 5.5 years.
Chuck, do you think it boomerangs, though, on those who espouse that they finally say enough of that, enough of this doom and glooming? Things are tough enough without you making things worse.
I think it was a tough time, and I think that also that when you have the shutdown, when you go to the brink of even losing your credit rating, that we all would agree that it affects commerce, it affects the economy.
But it
the economy
apparently
has been
not. It didn't evidence itself. If the numbers bore out what you said, I'd jump on board with you, but we don't see that.
But what the numbers also show is the richest among us are the ones that the growth is coming from, and that the people who don't have the money, as we get closer to Christmas, and with the retailers starting to see more people start coming in their stores, because they're going to buy those babies Christmas gifts, whether they got to put it on their credit card or not.
Yeah, but don't you think what would be affecting that spending is more health care law where people are affected by premiums going up, and no one said that would happen to them, than whatever happened at a shutdown weeks, months ago?
Yeah, I think that it's really great that 80% of Americans can keep the insurance because it's mandated under the employer that they have, and only 1.8% of people who are buying their own insurance anyway are having to get a little bit better insurance. And I think they're willing to pay a little bit more to get a real health care insurance.
They're paying,
and not trash insurance.
They're paying quite a bit more, and it's millions of them. But that's neither here nor there. Jesse Jane, I guess this gets back to the issue of whether big government fear tactics actually have a strategy. In other words, that when you have something bad happen, you could say things would have been a lot better if Republicans didn't hold us back. Is that the strategy?
It's ridiculous. The Republicans were actually predicting exactly what ended up happening. They were trying to restrict the funding of Obamacare, and let's look what happened. It has been a disaster, and it is draining American wallets. Obamacare in itself has had 21 tax increases alone associated with it. So we've got businesses that won't go over 50 personnel because they can't afford this, or they're knocking full-time workers down to part-time workers. The shutdown, sequestration, all of this is to slow down government spending, and the president isn't listening. He has a slow economic growth compared to Ronald Reagan at the same time had grown 20%. We have barely gotten over 3% only 5 times in the 18 months of reporting.
Let me throw back to Chuck on that. I think there's a strategy to this, and I think, and I could be wrong, Chuck, and I think it's this. If you constantly talk about how much sequestration cuts and hurt the economy, you set up a pretty good argument for never addressing spending at all. And if your goal is instead to hike taxes, which it appears that it's a front and center goal for Harry Reid, whether you agree or disagree with that strategy, it is his strategy. And when someone like Nancy Pelosi comes along and says the cupboard's bare, there's no more room to cut, they seem to be saying that every time we do that, we push the economy to the brink, even though we clearly don't. So are they actually trying to sell this to make a point we're not going to cut spending?
I think that could be a possibility. I also think that if everything was as bad and people were so upset about the health care and so upset about the tax increases and so upset about all of these policies, I don't see how Barack Obama got elected the last 2 times. I will also tell you.
Well, by the way, these polls mean nothing now, but if they were to do a redo, he'd lose.
Yeah.
Now
absolutely.
That's because
Thank
a lot of
God
these are coming back to haunt him. Now, timing is everything, and you're quite right. In the past 2 elections, timing was going his way. His argument was sound. Now people are questioning what he said then. So I don't know if lightning would strike thrice. So your point being?
Thank God for the Republican Congress, or he'd have the lowest approval ratings of everybody in this city.
That's very good at deflecting, young man. I do admire that. And the Southern accent seals it for me.
Look, seriously,
I'm kidding. You're both very good. You both espouse your causes very well. In the meantime,